The first warning had not come from humans. Long after Earth was abandoned, scattered species across the galaxy repeated the same hush phrase: "Do not set foot on Earth. It remembers." Some had etched it into archives. Others passed it along as oral tradition. Every empire that touched the ruins of humanity's homeworld had left crippled fleets or vanished entirely. Yet no proof survived. Only the echoes. Lord Varric of the XYR Dominion did not believe in echoes. He stood tall on the command bridge of his flagship, armored in plates of obsidian alloy that reflected the glow of orbiting screens. Behind him stretched the void, filled with the silhouettes of more than 300 warships. Earth hung below them, vast and blue, cloud banks coiling like smoke over continents scarred by centuries of storms. Varric's voice carried the weight of command, sharp and deliberate. A forgotten world. A human graveyard. Nothing more. One of his generals, a pale-scaled alien with trembling mandibles, risked speaking. "My lord, the archives warn against this. Entire fleets never returned. Even the Kreth collector withdrew after setting foot there." Superstition, Varric spat. His talons tapped the railing, each metallic click punctuating his words. Humans are extinct. Their myths are weapons, designed to frighten weak minds. We are not weak. The bridge fell silent. No one dared argue further. On the far side of the system, hidden among the craters of the moon, Captain Elias Cade listened to the XYR broadcast bleed across the void. The old human outpost around him was little more than patched metal and humming generators, but its sensors still worked. He sat hunched over a console, the glow painting hard shadows across his scarred face. His left eye was cybernetic, its faint red glimmer reflecting the steady feed of alien fleet movements. Every ship, every drop pod, every maneuver, they were all logged. "They're actually doing it," said Mara, his second in command. She leaned against a bulkhead, arms folded, voice low with disbelief. "After all the warnings, they're going to touch down." Elias exhaled slowly. "Of course they are. Empires don't listen. They think warnings are for lesser creatures." She studied him. "And us, are we lesser creatures?" His lips twitched in something close to a smile, with a reminder they don't want. Far below, the first XYR transports punched through Earth's atmosphere, their hulls glowing red against friction. Clouds shredded around them as they descended toward ruined megacities. One vessel landed on what had once been New York. The skyline lay broken. Towers collapsed into jagged stone teeth. Sea water had claimed half the city, leaving rusting skeletons of skyscrapers jutting from the tide. XYR soldiers disembarked, armored and confident. Their boots crunched against cracked concrete. Silence pressed in, heavy and unnatural. One soldier muttered, "It feels watched." Another sneered, "By ghosts?" They spread into formation, scanning the ruins. A squad leader's voice barked through comms. "Search. Report anything of value." But the silence did not lift. On the bridge of his flagship, Varric watched feeds from the surface. He saw troops advancing through rubble, saw drones mapping the submerged districts. He saw no sign of resistance. He turned to his generals. "You see? Empty. Quiet. The humans abandoned this husk and fled to the stars. Nothing remained but relics." One of the younger officers hesitated. "And yet, my lord, if that is true, why leave it unclaimed for centuries? Why not strip it bare long ago?" Varric's jaw tightened. "Because others lack courage. We do not." Elias leaned back from his console, listening to the alien arrogance play out over intercepted transmissions. He rubbed a hand across his stubble, eyes narrowing. "They really don't get it," he muttered. Mara's voice was quiet. "Tell me again why it matters, Elias. Why not let Earth devour them and be done with it? Why fight at all?" He turned to face her, and for a moment the hard soldier's mask slipped, revealing something raw beneath. "Because Earth isn't just a trap. It's a message. Our ancestors built it to remind the galaxy what happens when you try to chain us. If the XYR survive this, they'll twist the story. They'll call it sabotage, cowardice, anything but the truth. Someone has to be here to remind them whose world this is." Mara nodded slowly, resolve hardening in her eyes. The XYR troops on Earth pressed deeper into the ruins. They stumbled across a structure half buried under layers of collapsed concrete and steel. A vault door, vast and circular, sealed with strange engravings. One soldier brushed dust away from the markings, frowning. This is an XYR script. The translator struggled but offered a rough rendering. Turn back. This is not yours. The squad leader's mandibles clicked in amusement. Pathetic. The humans try to frighten us with words. He raised a plasma cutter and began slicing into the door. The engravings glowed faintly, as if the heat of the cutter had awakened them. A low vibration shivered through the ground. Static hissed across comm channels. The squad leader froze. Command? We're getting interference. Then the vault door groaned. Mechanisms deep inside ground to life. Ancient gears turning after centuries of silence. The engravings burned brighter, red lines crawling across the surface like veins. The soldiers stepped back, weapons raised. Report. Varric demanded from orbit. The reply was choked with static. My lord, the door, it's opening. On the moon, Elias's console lit with signals, cascading across his display. Power surges spread across Earth's crust, systems booting after hundreds of years of slumber. His artificial eye flickered as data poured in. Mara leaned forward. What's happening? Elias's voice was steady, almost reverent. The first vault woke up. The net's reconnecting. Old code, old weapons. Earth's remembering. He looked out the viewport at the planet below, and the XY are about to learn why no one comes here twice. Varric stared at the feed. The vault door split apart, light pouring out in searing beams. Shapes moved in the brilliance. Towering machines of ancient human design, eyes glowing like embers. For the first time, unease touched his face. Continue, he ordered, though his voice was quieter now. Press forward. This is nothing but relics. But deep beneath his words, a note of doubt trembled. The city was hollow. XYR soldiers advanced through broken streets, their armored boots echoing against shattered asphalt. What had once been Manhattan lay drowned and twisted, half swallowed by the ocean. Towers leaned like snapped bones, their glass long gone, leaving jagged ribs of steel against the gray sky. The wind carried only salt and silence. Sergeant Kale, the invasion force, adjusted his visor and scanned the ruins. No movement, no heat signatures. Nothing. Another soldier muttered, "Feels wrong, like the ground's waiting for us to make the first mistake." Kale barked, "Superstitious nonsense. Keep moving." Their squad pressed deeper, plasma rifles raised, yet the silence pressed harder. Even in dead worlds, nature usually crept back, plants, animals, scavenger life. Here, there was only emptiness, as if the planet itself had chosen not to reclaim the wounds humanity left behind. Above, Lord Varric watched the feeds with thinly veiled irritation. The images bored him. Crumbled cities, empty streets, soldiers trudging through dust. This is what the galaxy fears. A graveyard. A cautious voice rose from his left. It was Commander Drill, the youngest of his officers. My lord, even graveyards hold meaning. These ruins, they don't erode naturally. Too preserved, too deliberate. Varric's black eyes slid toward him. You speak as if stones and shadows are enemies. They are not. They are ours to strip bare. Drill lowered his head, silenced but unsettled. On the lunar outpost, Elias Cade leaned forward at his console, watching the same feeds. His artificial eye tracked data streaming in. Seismic fluctuations, faint energy spikes, signals pulsing beneath the crust. He tapped the screen, overlaying old maps. Mara crouched beside him. What are we seeing? Ghost systems, Elias said. Buried sensors. The XYR think Earth is dead, but they're walking through the arteries of a machine. Can you trigger them? Not yet. They're waking slowly. But when they do, the aliens will realize they've been trespassing in a fortress disguised as a corpse. He closed his fist. Our ancestors made sure of it. On Earth, Sergeant Kale's squad reached the base of the vault unearthed hours earlier. The colossal door loomed, split open, faint red glow leaking from seams. The heat of their cutting torches had been replaced by something more unnerving. The vault had continued opening on its own. Symbols etched along the metal glowed faintly, repeating patterns in angular script. "What does it say?" one soldier asked. The squad's translator unit hissed, grinding through the dead language. Then it produced a chilling, flat voice. "Turn back. This is not yours." The soldiers shifted uneasily. Kale sneered. "Scare tactics. Dead humans trying to frighten the future. We'll see what treasure they left." He motioned forward. The vault yawned wide, revealing a chamber filled with dormant machines. Dark silhouettes lined the walls, hulking frames of steel with clawed limbs and eyeless heads. Crouched as if waiting. One soldier whispered, "Statues?" Another leaned closer. "War machines. Old human design. But they're dead." Then, as if an answer, one of the frames stirred. Its chest flickered with a red glow, faint but steady. Another lit. Then another. Command, movement. Kale barked, panic cracking his voice. From orbit, Varric's expression twisted in irritation. Relics. Nothing more. But on the ground, the machines straightened with grinding precision, their joints snapping into motion, eyes ignited like coals. Kale shouted, fall back now." The first machine lunged, tearing a soldier apart with metal claws. Plasma bolts scorched its armor, but the beams only scarred the plating. The war construct roared with sound like tearing metal, and the chamber erupted into chaos. Elias watched the feed shift to static, but his console registered the truth. "First vault fully active," he murmured. Lines of code scrolled across his display. Ancient command protocols trying to handshake with systems buried across the planet. Mara leaned over him. "They woke them up, didn't they?" "They never learn." Elias tapped a key, sending a burst transmission. His cybernetic eye pulsed as he synced with the signal. "But this time will help Earth remember faster." On Earth, the battle spread through the ruins. Mech smashed through walls, tearing into XYR squads with unstoppable force. Plasma fire lit the streets, reflecting off waterlogged towers. Soldiers screamed into comms for extraction. From the flagship, Varric listened to the chaos. His officers begged him to withdraw troops until defenses could be analyzed. He slammed a clawed hand on the armrest. Pathetic. They are outnumbered and overwhelmed by machines centuries old. Hold position. Crush them. But my lord. Silence. His voice boomed final. This world is nothing but bones. We will strip it clean or bury it beneath fire. In the outpost, Elias paced, restless energy in his stride. Varric thinks he can outlast Earth. He doesn't understand the scale. Once one system wakes, they all do. The planet was built to cascade, defense on top of defense. Mara frowned. "And us? Where do we fit in?" He stopped and looked at her. "We make sure the cascade completes. We turn a trap into a slaughter." Her eyes hardened. For humanity, he agreed. Back on Earth, Sergeant Kale's surviving soldiers fell back through collapsing streets, mechs tearing after them. The city seemed to move against them, doors locking, walls sealing, pathways funneling them into kill zones. Automated drones buzz overhead, dropping fire on retreating units. A soldier cried, "It's like the city's alive." Kale fired wildly at a drone, rage and fear colliding. "It is alive. Humans made their planet into a weapon." His words barely reached command before static drowned him out. In orbit, Varric leaned closer to his screen as the feed flickered and died. For a moment, silence held the bridge. Then he straightened, his jaw set. "So be it. If Earth wants to bare its teeth, then we shall break them." His generals exchanged uneasy looks, but none dared speak. Varric raised his hand in command. "Send more troops. Open more vaults. Let every secret of this world crawl into the light. We will not be turned aside by bones and ghosts." On the moon, Elias shook his head, almost pitying. He thinks he's drawing Earth out, but every vault he opens just arms the world further. He's not fighting humans. He's fighting the memory of humanity, and memories don't die easy. He turned back to the console, watching energy spikes ripple across the globe. More vaults, more weapons, more echoes of the past awakening. Soon, Elias murmured. Very soon, the Dominion will learn what it means to trespass where they don't belong. The storm began in orbit. Without warning, dead satellites flickered to life. Old husks that had drifted useless for centuries flared with power, solar panels snapping open like wings. Their lenses rotated, locking onto Dominion cruisers with cold precision. Within seconds, beams of coherent light speared upward, carving through XYR holes like knives through glass. A frigate bloomed into fire. Another split apart, its core venting into space. Panic crackled through enemy comms. Unknown weapons. Multiple hostiles above atmosphere. Then static. On the lunar outpost, Elias watched it all unfold. His cybernetic eye traced a sudden lattice of energy linking satellites together into a deadly web. The system wasn't random. It was coordinated surgical, like an orchestra of silent machines playing an ancient war song. Mara's voice trembled with awe. They've been waiting all this time. Elias smiled grimly. Not waiting, preparing. Earth never trusted peace. Our ancestors knew someone would come for what they left behind. He leaned over the console, fingers dancing across keys. The satellites pulsed in response, aligning into firing formations. A string of red icons, Dominion ships, blinked out one after another. Aboard the flagship, Lord Varric stood rigid as reports flooded in. The bridge reeked of fear. Officers shouting, screens flashing warnings. He raised a clawed hand, demanding silence. Enough! His voice cut through the noise. This is no war. It is sabotage. Machines alone cannot defeat us. We adapt. We overwhelm. Send in the second wave. An officer hesitated. My lord, losses are mounting. Varric's glare burned through him. Send them. The order went out. Thousands of troop ships detached, engines burning as they dove toward Earth's surface. Beneath the clouds, the war shifted. In the ruins of Chicago, dormant defense turrets rose from submerged bunkers, their barrels spinning. They spat molten projectiles into the skies, shredding landing craft before they touched ground. In the forest of what was once Germany, buried launch silos tore open, ejecting missiles that curved into the heavens with silent precision. Explosions painted the stratosphere. Yet for every craft destroyed, more forced their way down, spilling troops across cities, deserts, and drowned coasts. XYR soldiers surged forward, armored ranks marching through ash and salt. But Earth met them with teeth. Sergeant Cale, bruised and bloodied from his retreat in Manhattan, regrouped with survivors at the base of another vault. This one hadn't opened yet, but tremors shook the ground beneath their boots. Command says we hold position until reinforcement arrive. One soldier muttered. Cale snarled. Reinforcements won't matter. You saw what I saw. Every vault we breach wakes another nightmare. Before they could argue, the ground split apart. From the fissure rose a towering machine, four-legged and bristling with weaponry, its head crowned with rotating cannons. It scanned the XYR squad, red optics glowing, then unleashed hellfire. Cale dived for cover as plasma rounds rained down, tearing his squad apart. His last coherent thought, as he crawled through debris, the humans made their planet into a predator. On the moon, Elias pulled up global readouts. Vaults across every continent were activating. Africa's deserts pulsed with energy signatures as buried power grids came online. Asia's mountains shuddered as drones erupted from hidden caverns. Oceans boiled as submarinal constructs rose like steel leviathans. Mara whispered, "This isn't defense. It's a war machine spanning the whole world." Elias nodded. The Dominion thought they found a grave. What they really found was the largest arsenal ever built. Meanwhile, Varric seethed. From his throne on the flagship, he listened to reports of mounting casualties. Squads swallowed whole by machines. Fleets blinded by orbital strikes. Vaults triggering traps his empire couldn't predict. Still, his pride refused retreat. They believe this world will defeat us. His voice rose, trembling with fury. Then we shall burn the very crust away. Prepare the ion lances. If the ground itself rises against us, we will turn it to glass. The bridge crew froze. To glass a planet was sacrilege, a last resort. Yet none dared challenge him. On Earth, The tide shifted again. In South America, Dominion troops cornered a cluster of human survivors, descendant of those who had hidden in sealed colonies beneath the soil. Terrified families huddled in silence, their shelters breached. Before the soldiers could fire, the ground quaked. An ancient railgun, hidden beneath a mountain ridge, powered on. Its barrel leveled at the Dominion squad and fired a single hypersonic round. The blast obliterated the attackers. In an instant, the survivors stared in stunned silence. For generations, they had whispered about humanity's forgotten defenses. Now, they watched legends awaken before their eyes. Back on the outpost, Mara turned to Elias. The survivors, they'll see this as hope. Proof humanity isn't gone. Elias's jaw tightened. Hope alone won't win this. Varric won't stop until Earth itself kills him. And for that, we need to push harder. He synced his neural link, his artificial eye glowing brighter as systems aligned. Across Earth, defense networks stirred as if responding to him personally. Mara laid a hand on his arm. Elias, you're not just guiding them. You're part of it. I know, he said quietly. And if that's what it takes to finish this, then so be it. In orbit, the Dominion fleet reeled under unrelenting satellite fire. Ships exploded in silent blossoms of light, debris raining into the atmosphere. Yet Varric stood unshaken. Prepare the ion lances, he repeated, voice a growl. I will not bow to a dead species' ghosts. As the weapons powered, the stars themselves seemed to dim, great barrels turning toward the blue planet below. On the moon, Elias saw the reading spike. His blood ran cold. He's going to fire. Mara stiffened. Can Earth stop it? Elias didn't answer. Instead, he leaned closer to the console, whispering as if the planet could hear him. Wake up, all of you, now! The ground shook. Across every continent, dormant systems roared to life. Hundreds of vaults, thousands of machines. The planet answered. The first ion lance discharged. A searing beam split the heavens, lashing toward the surface. But before it struck, a shield grid erupted from Earth's crust, hexagonal panels of energy locking together like scales. The beam splashed harmlessly across it, scattering into auroras that lit the skies. The Dominion flagship shuddered as its power faltered. For the first time, Varric's face betrayed doubt. On the outpost, Elias exhaled, his eye dimming from the strain. Good. Now let's show him what happens when you try to break the home of mankind. Mara's lips curved into a fierce smile. For humanity, Elias echoed, turning back to console as Earth's awakening spread like wildfire across the globe. The war had only begun. The night sky burned. From deserts to drowned coastlines, billions of human descendants lifted their eyes as auroras tore across the atmosphere. The shield grid shimmered like an ocean of glass, reflecting the Dominion's ion beams in dazzling waves of color. Every vault, turret, and machine hummed with purpose, as if Earth itself had risen from slumber to fight. Elias felt it in his bones. The neural link thrummed, each pulse connecting him to defense networks spread across the planet. His cybernetic eye streamed data faster than thought, battle lines shifting, threats emerging, defenses responding in precise counterpoint. It was more than a system. It was an intelligence, cold and vast, yet responsive to his will. Mara leaned over his shoulder, her voice urgent. The Dominion is regrouping. They're forming kill clusters around the flagship. Elias's gaze tracked the formations tightening in orbit. Varric won't retreat. Not after a humiliation this public. He'll bleed half his fleet dry just to prove his empire still rules. Then we can't give him the chance, Mara said. Elias nodded once. Time to go on the offensive. The command rippled through his neural uplink. In Africa, swarms of drones erupted from the sands, wings beating like locusts of steel. They soared into the stratosphere and dove onto Dominion ships, tearing through hull plating with micro-explosives. In the Pacific, vast constructs rose from the ocean depths, leviathans plated in rust and coral. Their cannons discharged arcs of plasma that split troop carriers clean in half. Across Siberia, rail batteries thundered, launching hypersonic rounds that cracked enemy frigates like brittle shells. Earth wasn't defending anymore. It was striking back. On the Dominion flagship, Chaos deepened. Officers barked orders that contradicted one another. Holographic displays showed ship after ship winking out. Panic rippled through the ranks as losses mounted faster than reinforcements could stabilize. Lord Varric rose from his throne, cloak dragging across the deck, eyes like burning coals. "Silence," he roared. The bridge froze. He gestured to the holomap, where red icons of his fleet were collapsing in clusters. "You see weakness. I see opportunity. The humans are overextending their machines. Every strike they launch exposes them. We bleed them now or we perish." An aide swallowed hard. "And if the losses continue?" Varric's lips curled in a snarl. "Then the Dominion will remember this day as the crucible of our survival. Fire everything. Strip the skies bare if you must." The order was obeyed. Cruisers unleashed barges of kinetic slugs. Carriers vomited waves of fighters into low orbit. Plasma lances carved arcs through Earth shield, testing for fractures. The assault was relentless. A tide of fire meant to grind awakening defenses down by sheer attrition. And for the first time, Elias felt the weight of strain pressing back through his link. The networks groaned, energy surges spiking. Vaults that had slept for centuries were powerful, but not infinite. Mara saw the tension in his jaw. "They're forcing you to stretch thinner." He exhaled sharply. "They know I'm part of this now." "You can't carry the planet's war alone," she pressed. His gaze locked with hers, voice low. "If I let go, the system falters. And if it falters, Earth dies." Meanwhile, on the surface, the war had turned apocalyptic. In what was once Tokyo Bay, Dominion soldiers clashed with autonomous tanks that rolled from hidden bunkers, their cannons shredding alien armor. The air reeked of ion discharge and burning metal. In the ruins of Cairo, survivors fought beside awakening drones, scavenged rifles firing alongside precision plasma beams. One boy, no older than 15, screamed defiance as a drone shielded him from incoming fire. Humanity wasn't passive anymore. It was fighting back, piece by piece. Everywhere, the myth of Earth's weakness crumbled. On the flagship, Varric's composure cracked. The holomap flickered, showing his fleet reduced by a third. Battleships fell silent. Outposts vanished into fire. His claws dug into the armrest of his throne, sparks scattering as the metal bent under his grip. Still, he refused defeat. "Bring the Starbreaker forward," he growled. The bridge froze. The Starbreaker wasn't a ship. It was a weapon, a colossal device, forbidden even within the Dominion, designed to tear open planetary crusts and ignite atmospheres. It was annihilation given form. An officer whispered, "My lord," unleashing it will... "Do it," Varric snapped. "If I cannot conquer this world, I will erase it. No species denies the Dominion." Elias felt the moment before the order reached him through sensors, an unnatural surge of power moving within the flagship's hangars. His eye flared with warnings. "They're deploying something," he muttered. "Something massive." Mara's face paled. "Can Earth stop it?" Elias shook his head. "Not if it's what I think. The grid was built for fleets. Invasions, not planet-cracking weapons." Mara gripped his arm. "Then you have to find another way." He closed his eyes, inhaling sharply. Through the link, he reached deeper, past surface defense systems, past orbital webs. For a heartbeat, he felt something older beneath the code, something buried deeper than vaults. A presence vast and waiting, and it whispered back. Across the globe, vault doors opened that hadn't stirred even during the first waves of war. Massive constructs, titanic in scale, rose from mountain ranges and seabeds. They weren't drones. They weren't defenses. They were colossi, humanoid machines large enough to stride across cities, their eyes glowing like dying suns. Mara gasped as she saw the feeds. "Those aren't weapons. They're guardians." Elias's voice was steady, though his hands trembled. The ancients didn't just build Earth into a fortress. They gave it champions. The colossi raised their arms. Energy gathered, channeled into beams that lanced skyward. Dominion ships disintegrated in blinding flashes. Entire formations erased in seconds. The battlefield shifted again. On the flagship, Varric stared at the feeds in disbelief. His fleet was being dismantled not by strategy, but by something primal, something he couldn't comprehend. "This is impossible," he hissed. An officer dared to speak. "My lord, we must withdraw. If we stay, there will be nothing left." Varric's glare silenced him. Withdrawal was humiliation, but annihilation loomed. His pride warred with reason, a visible battle in his burning eyes. At last he growled, "Prepare the Starbreaker. If I fall, Earth falls with me." On the lunar outpost, Elias opened his eyes, the glow fading. His breath came ragged, sweat running down his temples. Mara steadied him. "What did you do?" He looked out toward Earth, where guardians strode through smoke and fire. "I didn't command them. I asked, and they answered." Mara followed his gaze, awe in her voice. "Then maybe humanity isn't just remembered here. Maybe it's still alive." Elias's jaw tightened as alarms blared, Dominion energy spikes climbing higher. Alive enough to finish this war. Above, the Dominion's last desperate weapon stirred. Below, Earth's colossi raised their arms to meet it. The clash promised fire across the stars. The war was rushing toward its end. The flagship trembled as the Starbreaker armed. Energy swirled through its core, a storm of plasma and gravity tearing against containment fields. The weapon was more than a cannon. It was a sentence, one aimed at Earth itself. Lord Varric stood at the heart of his bridge, eyes fixed on the growing radiance below his ship. His claws dug into the railing, voice low and venomous. "If I cannot rule this world, I will salt its ashes across the void. Let them learn what defiance costs." His officers dared not reply. The Starbreaker's glow consumed the viewport, promising annihilation. On the lunar command hub, alarm screamed through Elias's neural feed. His cybernetic "I painted the truth." If the weapon fired, the planet would not survive. Mara's voice broke through the storm. "Elias, tell me you can stop this." He clenched his fists, every fiber of the link burning, as he pushed deeper into the defense network. The Guardians stirred across Earth's crust, massive forms aligning as though awaiting instruction. "They can't block it," he said, breath ragged. "But maybe they can turn it." Turn it. Elias's jaw tightened. Into him. The order was silent, transmitted on a frequency older than language. The colossi responded. In the Andes, a guardian raised both arms, drawing solar fire into its chest. In the depths of the Atlantic, another emerged, water cascading from its titanic shoulders, eyes blazing with power older than empires. Across Iberia, one knelt, then launched itself skyward, breaking the atmosphere like a spear hurled by the planet itself. Beams of pure energy lanced upward, converging toward the Dominion's flagship. They weren't strikes of war. They were gestures of judgment. On the bridge, Varric's officers panicked. Colossal energy surges, directly targeting us. Varric's lips curled in something between a snarl and a smile. "Let them try. The Starbreaker will consume them as it consumes their world." He thrust his claw forward. "Fire!" The weapon released. It was as if a sun had been born in orbit. A torrent of energy poured downward, white-hot and absolute, streaking toward Earth with the promise of extinction. Atmosphere ignited. Clouds vaporized. Gravity shuddered under the pressure. But the Guardians moved as one. They intercepted, their colossal arms raised against the storm. Shields of light blossomed from their cores, not resisting but bending the torrent, shaping it, folding it back. The beam curved like a river redirected, its path turning against its maker. Elias screamed with the effort, veins standing out at his neck as he bore the strain of guiding their will. His mind stretched beyond human limits. Touching construct designed by ancestors who had planned for this very day. Mara gripped his shoulders, anchoring him as though her presence alone kept him tethered. "Don't let go, Elias. Hold them together." "I can't." His voice broke. "Not alone." Mara closed her eyes and pressed her forehead to his. "Then you're not alone." The link surged. Through him, through her, the Guardians roared. The redirected beam slammed upward. The Dominion flagship took the full force of the Starbreaker's wrath. Its shields collapsed instantly, hull splitting in incandescent fractures. Decks tore apart, crew and steel alike erased in the torrent. the bridge filled with fire. Varric stood unmoving as consoles exploded around him. The light consumed his officers first, then the steel of his throne. He watched his empire's dream collapse in a brilliance too great for eyes to bear. His final words were a whisper drowned in thunder. Then let history fear your name, Earth. And the Dominion's flagship was gone. Silence followed, vast and heavy. In orbit, the scattered remnants of the Dominion fleet broke ranks. Some ships powered down entirely, surrender implicit. Others turned and fled, engines burning for deep space, unwilling to face guardians that had defied apocalypse itself. On Earth, the shields dimmed, auroras fading from the skies. Fire smoldered across ruined cities, but the world still turned. Against all odds, it had survived. Elias slumped in his chair, the glow fading from his eye. Every nerve ached, his body trembling as though hollowed out. Yet his mind was clear. He had touched something beyond humanity, and it had answered him. Mara caught him before he fell. "You did it," she whispered, voice breaking with relief. He managed a weak smile. "No, we did." She held his gaze, searching, then nodded once. "Then let's make sure we don't waste what they gave us." Days passed. The Dominion threat fractured. Without its fleet commander, without the flagship, the Empire's grip on the sector unraveled. Systems long cowed under fear began to stir with rebellion. Messages poured into the lunar hub. Alien voices Elias could barely understand, all asking the same question. Was Earth truly awake again? On the surface, survivors emerged from bunkers and ruins. They looked upon the guardians that still stood, titans half buried in mountain ranges or oceans. Children reached out to touch glowing hands larger than towers. Farmers planted seeds at the feet of constructs that seemed to watch silently, waiting. Hope spread like wildfire. Elias and Mara stood together on the rim of the lunar outpost, gazing down at the blue and green sphere. "She's scarred," Mara said softly, "but alive." "She's always been scarred," Elias replied, "but scars are proof you survived." Mara turned to him. "What now?" He was quiet for a long moment, then said, "Now we rebuild, and when the stars come looking again, they'll find more than survivors. They'll find a people who remember who they are." She smiled faintly. "And what's that?" Elias looked at the planet below, where guardians still glowed like sentinels. Human. Far above, wreckage of the Dominion flagship drifted into shadow. Among the fragments, the Starbreaker's shattered core flickered once, then went dark forever. Earth had endured, and the galaxy would never forget.